Hey, Jeff Brooks, Remax Orange Beach, and the Gotti team here again for October, which is really September numbers market update. Let's jump right in. We're going to cover the same things we cover normally, hopefully in about 5 minutes. Interest rates. When I pulled the numbers and everything together for this slide set last week, it was up in the high sevens. That is up from last month. Treasury bonds are up, and we'll talk about that a bit more in a second. Prices, pardon the typo, we're going to go through that by segment. There's some interesting things there, and then look across the U.S. Again, some interesting things occurring. And then inventory, we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. Show you a slide from last month. Again, it hasn't changed much. Still below traditional norms, which is what's keeping the prices fairly stable at this point. Interest rates, you can see on the left there, the chart for 1 year on the 30-year mortgage. We're up on this slide around 7.5 across the whole U.S. It varies a little bit by region. That trend continues up at this point. Hearing news over the last few days with earnings reports and retail sales, people are starting to wonder if may creep up again. The interesting thing on the right here, the Treasury bonds are paying much better than they have been in well over 10 years. They're up in the 4.5% to 5%. I saw a sign the other day. I can get a 6-month CD for 5.5. And so my so what's on this slide. Residential and first-time buyers contend with high rates and high prices right now. I think I saw our affordability index is the lowest it's been in 27 years, but talk to the Gotti team. We've got some interesting things that might be able to help with that. And then as far as investors, they may make a safer short-term purchase in the bond market right now. And try and understand what's happening in the real estate market, but only time will tell. I am hearing, excuse me, from some investor analysts that we might expect another melt up in the house price area. So speaking of price, this is the same slide every month on presentation from Baldwin County Realtors. You can see traditional homes were up last year, September to this year, September by 3.9. I know everybody has been saying for about a year that prices were going to come down, just not seeing it. Average days on market, which relates to inventory, was up 77%. Sounds like a big number, but it's only at 48 days when roughly 120 to 180 is about the normal market range. And then the number of sales closed in September this year was down about 10% from some September of last year. In the housing space, or the residential traditional housing, the majority of that up is in Eastern Shore. The next slide will look at some of the details there. On the right side, the resort and island-based properties showing down by 6.8%. The majority of that is coastal homes, and we'll show that detail on the next slide as well. Inventory or days on market is up again, and I've got green marks there because that means more choice and more time to make a decision for buyers. And then the number of properties closed was down by about 20%. So let's look at those details I was referring to. Coastal condos last year to this year were up about 8.4%. But the total value of all of those sold this September was just under $60 million, whereas coastal homes, and this is the interesting one, the average was down almost 21% last year to this year. And remember, I said the majority was coastal homes. That was almost $75 million of the total sales, or 56%. So when you do a weighted average, you end up with a negative in the coastal properties area. My theory here, I didn't pull all the numbers together, but I do live here. I do watch what's going on, and I watch the real estate market. More residential homes sold on the island, and fewer luxury homes sold on the beach. And so the residential homes on the island in neighborhoods, not necessarily on the beach, we've got a number of new neighborhoods that are coming in at very reasonable prices, $450 to $750. A number of those neighborhoods are coming to market and selling, so that helps with the average price for residential people. But again, you'll note it could scare, if you look at averages, which is always dangerous, it could scare a coastal home purchase person off, or it might motivate a buyer to come and get one while they think prices are a bit stagnant or down. On the retail or residential homes in the rest of Baldwin County, you can see Central Baldwin was down, Northern Baldwin was down, but not many homes sold there, and Eastern Shore was up. Again, the weighted average on the previous slide said that homes were up 3.9. That's very dependent on where you're looking. And again, Eastern Shore, there is a lot of growth in Baldwin County right now. So let's look at what's going on across the U.S. You keep hearing, prices are going to come down, prices are going to come down, prices are going to come down, we're going to have a crash. I don't think we're going to have a crash. And in fact, there's a chance we might see prices go up, especially if and when interest rates come down. And this chart is more evidence to my suggestion. Even in the areas that have been most impacted by housing market changes in the West Coast, they still saw about a 2% increase last July to this July, with a large portion of the U.S. seeing increases in the 4 to 7%. And so inventory, you can see that last bit there from April of 2020, where the inventory dipped significantly, and it's been bumping along, trying to come back up for some time. We're still not back to that normal inventory range in Baldwin County, again helping support prices along with the draw of people wanting to live in this area. And that's all we've got this month. Would love to hear your questions and comments. Have a great month and call me anytime.